In this video, I want to talk about how I apply dot work in really tight spaces. I felt like as I was doing this tattoo, this would be a good time to kind of talk about this specific topic right here. If you have any questions at all, I encourage you to please drop a comment down below. Rest assured, I'll do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. If you find this video helpful, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my YouTube channel, as it does help out my channel, and I will be bringing more videos like this for you. If we take a look at this tighter area right here, here's my thumb. I place it over and you can, or let's do this. Here's my thumb and you can kind of see it covers the entire thing. Here's my finger and you can see that I pretty much cover this entire area. Why I did this is to kind of show you how tight this area actually is. This is a really small area that we're going to be applying this dot work to. I'm sure some of you have tattoos where you have areas that you need to kind of apply that are really tight like this. However, when it comes to these areas, what's really important is the accuracy. That's what I want to go over. I want to share with you how I keep my accuracy when applying really tight areas like this. If we take a look, here's a quarter, and you can see that the quarter is about the same size as that circle right there. So we're working with a really tight area right here. I'm going to be demonstrating with this piece of real skin, fake skin. This is Spirit Stencil Paper for the tattoo. I'm going to be using my MusoToku Mercury M1 tattoo machine, my favorite tattoo machine ever. This is going to be a CNC Police 00 3-round liner. So you can see that I have a really tight needle configuration. This isn't even standard, it's a 00. It's below standard. So we have 0, 8, 10, and 12. This is 10. This is a 10 3-round liner right here. I chose this needle because I felt like this is a needle that I can be most accurate with when applying these dots right here. I could have also chose a 0.8 and I would have felt comfortable with either or. So the first place that I'm going to begin is by choosing the gear that I am comfortable with out the door. So for this demonstration, this is what I am going to be using. I will be leaving my Amazon affiliate links and other affiliate links for you in the description below, so that way you can check out the gear that's featured in this video in case you would like to match it up on your end. One thing that I pay attention to when I'm depositing areas, or when I'm depositing dots or anything in a tight space like this, is I'm paying attention. I'm trying to memorize a design as much as I can. I want to capture the integrity of what's already here as true as I can. Whenever we're dealing with tight areas like this, it's easier to kind of overlook all the little details and just apply whatever we think we should apply. And this is how tattoos begin to look wonky, inconsistent, and that's definitely a sacrifice of quality. That's not what we want to do. We want to capture what is here while keeping the integrity of the design, capturing the quality in full. Where I'm going to begin is by moisturizing this fake skin right here, and then I'm going to again take a look at this little area right here, and then I'm basically going to figure out the first part that I am going to apply. I'm going to start from one area and then begin applying the dots until I'm basically done. So I could either start right here in this area, or I could start right here in this little triangle. To start with, I'm going to go ahead and pick this little area right here, and then I'm going to begin applying these dots like so. I'm using a small 5-point approach here, and I'm staying within the confines of the integrity of this little area right here. I'm not going outside, I'm not recreating or anything like that. I'm staying as true as I can to the design at hand. And you can see that after the first layer, we're pretty much just about done, as this only needed like a mild touch-up. Now from here, the next thing that I'm going to do is determine my next spot. I have enough ink to continue, so I don't need to go back for more. But you can see that we have this little tiny triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically map it out. I have the 3 points right here, and then I'm going to begin filling in this little triangle with dots. Now since it's tiny, I can't truly stay to the 5-point approach, so I'm going to go ahead and just manually apply the dots while trying to remain as consistent as I can. I'm going to go ahead and put some ink there, some ointment there, and wipe away. And this area is pretty good right here. Now you see how I'm going back into this area? I want to be super mindful that I don't begin adding more dots outside the confines of what's already there. I've already established a triangle. I have established the boundaries in which I do not go past. That's what I'm going to stick to. So you can kind of see that that's where my head goes. I have to pay attention to the integrity that we just defined. That's how we capture the actual integrity of this design, So you can see that we have another little triangle right here, and I'm mapping out the 3 points that make the triangle. And then from there I could just simply start applying dots like so to complete it. I'm being very mindful not to go outside of that triangle, because then we would start losing the integrity of the initial tight area right here. So from here, I like that. I like the way that triangle came out. It came out good. I'm going to go ahead and continue right here, and I'm just going to keep applying these dots until all of these areas have been completed. I'm not driving my needle heavily into the skin. I'm just using the very tip of the needle, letting it pick at the skin to deposit the ink, and then I'm moving on. I'm running at 6 volts even, which isn't too high or too low. I can go down to 5 if I want with no difference at all. That's going to be subjective and up to you. If I went down to 5, I'll kind of prove it here. Even 4 would be fine. It really doesn't matter the voltage as much as it does the technique. I'm only just tapping the ink into the skin and then layering those different dots to accomplish a darker area. So if I go like this and remove it, you can see that we are accomplishing saturation just like the other surrounding areas. I'm not going outside of the confines of what's there. I'm just simply applying what is existing. Now, the same thing for here. This is going to be the beginning of the triangle, and then I'm just going to kind of use a series of dots to map out exactly where I'm not going to pass. And then from here, what I can do is I'm going to use a little series of dots to kind of make this first layer right here. And these are just very, very faintly touching the layer of the first layer of the skin to apply some texture there for the dot work. And then I'm going to wipe away and see where we are at. So that's the first layer there. And then from here, what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and begin by using whip motions up this way. So we're stepping a little bit away from dot work, and now we're using whip motions to combine these two techniques to make this area read the way that it does. So I'm using dot work and I'm using whip motions to apply this area like so. And then I'm just going to kind of wrap it off right here the way the other ones are. And you can see that we have a nice applied layer right here. Depending on how darker the other ones went would determine how dark this one goes as well. I always try to match them up with the same tones almost identically. So I'm going to go back over it one more time. And I feel like that right there is a good place to continue. And that is exactly the workflow that I'm going to repeat throughout the rest of this here. I'm just going to be super mindful about my every choice. I'm going to be super mindful about each and every time the needle touches the skin, like so. And I'm not going to overwork. I don't need to be aggressive. This is just a very, very delicate process that requires more patience than anything. So if it's patience, then we just have to slow it down and let the technique kind of run its course for us. The same thing, you can see that I found another triangle right here. I'm going to go back for a little bit more ink, and then I'm just simply going to establish the boundaries, and then I'm going to begin applying these areas right here. Keep in mind, once I have the barrier already established, the last thing I want to do is start going and creating more dots around here. I don't want to sacrifice the integrity of these little triangles. Every little detail matters, and we have to preserve that. We cannot get lazy and just start tattooing the things that the way that we want, because that's going to deviate from what the client and I originally agreed upon. So the same thing right here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of fix this up, and then I'm going to add the series of dots. And you can kind of see, hopefully by now, it's just really about taking our time, not rushing the process, and actually applying what's there and knowing how to apply it before we even touch it. So that's going to be that part, and I do feel like this part's already done. That looks great. And then we have another little triangle right here. I'm going to go ahead and establish these boundaries, and then I'm just going to begin applying this area like so. As you can see, making that little triangle. I want to be careful with those even smaller triangles because it'd be easy to sacrifice the integrity and structure of it. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then I would repeat the exact same workflow right here, where we go like this. We establish where this triangle is at. And then I'm just going to go ahead and apply the first layer of dots here for that textured peppered look. And then after that, we can go ahead and apply whip stipple shading like so. Yes, you also have to remember that since we are having a shade from darker to lighter, you have to pay attention to the technique. So hopefully by now you can see that tattooing requires attention to detail and requires us to be present mentally each and every time we deposit ink. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and dab away. I'm going to wipe away. And that is what we have right there. So if I keep this workflow, there's no reason why I'm not going to get consistent results by the time that I am done. The same thing is going to be repeated throughout the entire structure here. You always want to make sure that you have adequate ink flow so that way every dot you're depositing is actually doing something for your tattoo. And then I'm just going to keep it moving. So like right now, I see this other triangle. I'm just going to establish the boundary. Calmly apply the dots. And then when I'm applying the dots, I am not using an excessive amount of force. I'm letting the needle cycle, like the rounds that it's making, do the work for me. And I'm also letting my hand guide me. So like, for example, you can see I'm making those three boundaries, those three dots to establish this triangle boundary. And then once I'm done, I take a look at it. There's no reason to force the needle into any skin, even if it's fake skin, especially when we're using this small of a needle. It's not necessary. We do not need to drive the needle into the skin. So you can see I'm just placing dots like this, literally just hovering over the skin, letting the needle make some rounds to deposit the ink. And then from there, I'm going to establish the boundary in which I'm not going to cross. And then I'm going to apply that all the way around. And here we go. I'm going to fill all of these in like so, until I've reached a level of saturation that I am happy with. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And you're also going to notice that I'm staying right on the line, right on the stencil. I'm not going outside of it. I'm not changing the shape or anything like that. I'm trying to capture the integrity as true as I can get it here. Granted, we're not going to get perfection, but we can get really, really close to it. And that's the goal. So from here, you can see that this part's a little off to me. It's a little crooked there, but all it takes is just some more dots to straighten it out. And this part would be essentially completed after this pass right here. And the more passes that we make with the dots, obviously the darker it's going to get. And then from here, I would repeat that same workflow. Nothing's going to change on this last area right here. So I'm going to start by defining the boundaries right here, as you can see. And then I'm going to go back in, make sure that I have this boundary set right here. And then I'm just going to put a light layer of dots, combine it with some shading, whip shading to be specific, and we are pretty much done. So from here, I'm just going to use a series of whip shades from this area on up, because this area goes darker. I'm going to go ahead and go back for some more ink, and I think that maybe just like 1 or 2 more passes and we would be complete here. Just kind of want to look at the other areas as well. Don't go too dark, don't stay too light. You want them as consistent as you can get them. And there we go. That right there is exactly how I would go about applying these areas right here. Keeping it as consistent as I possibly can get it. Let me go ahead and wipe the excess away, and I'll give you a close-up look here at the final results. That is it. That is exactly how I would go about applying a really small detailed area. Here is a bird's eye view, so that way you can kind of see exactly what I did and how it came out. These are the final results. This is something that I am very, very happy with. It reads nice and consistent. Even these little inner areas with the whip shades read nice and clean. They are all neighboring each other well, and I feel like this is a success for such a tight, detailed area. Just a quick recap to show you how small it really is. That is a quarter, and you can see how tight this area truly is. I do feel like this is a good approach. I do feel like these are good results as well. I am happy with the results. There's always room for improvement, but for the goal that I set out, I feel like it was accomplished. Now, I do hope that you can take something from this video and immediately apply to your end. Should you have any questions or you want to clarify something, please feel free to drop a comment down below. I will do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. If you found this video helpful, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I would greatly appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you and your time. Have a great day.